Good afternoon, everyone. Trump administration has failed the American people. Republicans have failed the American people. Extreme MAGA Republicans, led by Donald Trump, have failed on the economy, they have failed on health care, and they have failed on immigration enforcement. ICE is completely and totally out of control. We know they need to be reined in now, without further delay. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people, not brutalize or kill them, which is what took place in Minneapolis, and it's what is taking place all across America whenever these masked and untrained ICE agents show up on the scene. House Democrats continue to be committed to making life more affordable for Americans, for driving down the high cost of living. We're committed to fixing our broken health care system. And of course, we need to get ICE under control and deliver a country that is consistent with our values, with who we are. That's not what we're seeing right now under Donald Trump and Republicans, who've gone way too far, and the American people know it, which is why Republicans continue to lose elections all across America. Questions?
Good morning. Clean this up. If they do get an agreement in the Senate and something comes back over here, do you expect, again, Republicans to carry most of the freight and you get a handful of moderate Democrats who might vote for something? Is that the type of deal? Or do you say, okay, we're going to have something that, yes, we Democrats in the House can support this because these are bona fide reforms to ICE?
Funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security should not move forward in the absence of dramatic changes that are bold, meaningful, and transformational. Period. Full stop. That's the House Democratic Caucus position, and that's the Senate Democratic Caucus position. And absent dramatic changes being built into the law, it's my expectation that any legislation that falls short of that will fail today in the United States Senate.
Just to piggyback on that, Mr. Leader, I know earlier this week you told me you felt that the White House had walked away from some of Democrats' core asks or proposals. So have you seen the latest offer that they put on the table last night? And if so, has your posture changed at all? I'm
in the process of reviewing the most recent so-called offer from the White House. We'll take a look at it. But my preliminary assessment of it is that it falls short of the type of dramatic changes necessary in order to change ICE's out-of-control behavior and deliver immigration enforcement that actually focuses on violent felons who are here illegally, which is what the president promised to do, and he lied, because taxpayer dollars are being used to brutalize and kill American citizens or violently target law-abiding immigrant families, and that's unacceptable. In our view, for instance, we need to make sure that if ICE agents or DHS agents violate the law or are engaging in violent behavior that brings harm to everyday Americans, they are held accountable independently through state and local investigations and, if merited, criminal prosecutions. There's no indication that the White House is prepared to walk away from its outrageous position that federal agents who violate the law under the banner of ICE are able to benefit from so-called absolute immunity. That's not America, where no one is above the law. And that administration position is incentivizing ICE agents to violently brutalize people in American communities with impunity, because the administration has told them they don't have to worry about ever being held accountable. That's just one of the types of common sense changes necessary in order to do what the American people want us to do, which is get ICE under control. It's a rogue agency right now, using taxpayer dollars to do harm to the American people. That's unacceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. New Jersey Democrat Annalila Mejia, who just won her special election primary, has not committed to supporting you as party leader. As you look to retake the House later this fall, are you worried about the growing number of candidates who are withholding their support from you?
No.
Reporting indicates that there's 20 candidates who are no's and 57.
What was unclear about that answer that I just gave you? First of all, I had a very good conversation with her 2 days ago. I've stood for this position as leader and or the next Democratic speaker, I think it's 19 or 20 times. Since you're following this closely, how many times has a Democrat on the floor of the House of Representatives voted against my candidacy?
I don't know, sir. We have quite many.
So your silence says it all. Unanimous support every single time. Next question. Paul?
To follow up on that, though, are you at all concerned that there will be some candidates who come through primaries in races that are battleground targets? California 48, Nebraska 2, Colorado 8. There are some really competitive primaries with a very diverse field ideologically. You know, do you worry about losing seats the way Republicans have done so in the past?
Well, the DCCC doesn't get involved in primaries. We'll monitor all of these races closely. The battlefield was just expanded in terms of the seats that are in play from 39 to 44. Now, let's remember, we're only 3 seats short of taking back control of the House of Representatives. That is a historically close margin, because despite what Mike Johnson, Donald Trump, Republicans, and their propaganda machine had been saying in the aftermath of the November 2024 election, there was no massive mandate. It was a close election with respect to the House. And unlike 2018, where we needed to win 24 seats, and by the way, we won 40 in a similar electoral environment to the one that exists right now, we only need to net 3. It's happening. Democrats are going to take back control of the House. And the only question is, what's the margin? And we understand that. Now, Mike Johnson and Republicans tried to spin everybody after they were crushed all of last year, including in the November off-year elections. And some people fell for it and said, well, Mike Johnson is claiming that Democrats are only winning in blue or maybe purplish states. Of course, that was not accurate. Yes, we decisively won in New Jersey by 14 or 15 points. Yes, we won in Virginia, where there was a Republican governor at the time. But we also won 3 state Supreme Court seats in Pennsylvania, a state that Donald Trump had just won. We won a state Supreme Court election in Wisconsin, a state that Donald Trump had just won. We won statewide races in Georgia for the first time in 20 years, a state that Donald Trump had just won. We ended the Republican supermajority in Mississippi, a state that Donald Trump and Republicans decisively win year after year after year. But as if that wasn't enough, we've now seen in 3 consecutive months, in 3 consecutive red states, Democrats not just win, but decisively win. That was the case in December in South Florida, where we won the Miami mayorship for the first time in nearly 30 years. And the Democratic candidate won by 20 points in deep red Florida. And then in January, we won a special election in deep red Texas, In a district that Donald Trump had just won by 17 points, the Democrat wins by 14. I talked to him yesterday again. And we overperformed by 31 in a state Senate district that's larger than congressional districts. And then, of course, in February, 3 consecutive months, 3 consecutive red states, 3 consecutive results where Democrats decisively won. In a Louisiana House district that Donald Trump had just won by 13 points, we win by 24. That's a 37-point overperformance. In deep red Louisiana, Mike Johnson and Steve Scalise's home state, they are shaking in their boots right now. So yes, we're going to continue to monitor the 44 seats that are in play. We've got to only net 3. That's happening. And the likelihood is we're going to win much more than that.
We were just out on the House steps, and Congresswoman Jayapal was decrying the Department of Justice for spying on her search history when she looked at the unredacted files earlier this week. I wondered if you have any concerns about separation of powers there, if you think this is something that should be expected. You go onto their turf, you're in their skiff. Are you surprised that they were tracking it? Where do you come down on all that?
It's not surprising to me, but that's because the bar is so low. And in fact, there is no bottom for the Trump administration, for Pam Bondi, for the other sycophants who are part of this corrupt administration, and for Republicans at this point in time. It's a disgrace. It does violate the principles of separate and co-equal branches of government. And of course, my Republican colleagues should be denouncing it, but they will not, because they simply are reckless rubber stamps for Donald Trump's extreme behavior. Pam Bondi and the corrupt hacks at the Trump Department of Justice are partisan, pathetic, pitiful, petulant pettifoggers. That's who they are. And that was on full display in that disgraceful performance by the so-called Attorney General at the Judiciary hearing yesterday.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Looks like we're heading into the third shutdown of this Congress as you all are headed out for a week-long recess. Republicans are going to try to make this shutdown fight about Democrats defunding TSA, FEMA, the Coast Guard, because they say ICE and CBP are funded. How do you continue the message to the American people about what you view as the facts of this shutdown fight while also addressing the sensitivities that Americans have around the cost of living, the kitchen table issues that you spent a lot of last year talking about? How are you going to balance those two? Or do you see them as one and the same, as a conversation that can't exist one without the other?
It's all connected. First of all, ICE is the most unpopular so-called law enforcement agency in the country. The American people know ICE is out of control. Other DHS agencies like CBP, who are being deployed inside of the country, are out of control. They've gone way too far, and they need to be reined in. That is the strong position that the American people have at this moment, based on what they've seen, understandably, in the streets of American communities, in Minneapolis and across the nation. And our principle is a pretty simple one. Taxpayer dollars should be used to make your life more affordable, not brutalize or kill you. Now, Republicans have taken the position, as evidenced by their one big ugly bill. This is important for the American people to understand, that Republicans enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. They are ripping health care away from you. Hospitals, nursing homes, and community-based health clinics are closing because of Republican policies in the one big ugly bill. In the same piece of toxic legislation, Republicans enacted a $186 billion cut to nutritional assistance programs. They literally have stolen food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans as part of an effort to provide massive tax breaks to their billionaire donors, and then at the same period of time, create a $191 billion slush fund using your taxpayer dollars for DHS and gave $75 billion to ICE in their one big ugly bill. That's a value statement by Republicans. We're going to take your taxpayer dollars. We're going to rip health care away from you. We're going to deny you the type of nutritional assistance that should exist in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And at the same period of time, we're going to give your taxpayer dollars to untrained and masked ICE agents who are unleashing violence, brutality, and lawlessness on American citizens, including killing 2 in cold blood. It's all related. And we're going to make sure we continue to forcefully drive that point home.
Thanks, Leader Jeffries. Assuming that there is no deal in the next 24 hours, we'll see what happens in the Senate, would you rule out potential carve-outs to fund FEMA, to fund TSA, to fund air traffic control?
We have 2 choices in front of us. On the one hand, there are dramatic, bold, meaningful changes that necessarily must occur to get ICE under control and to rein them in. On the other hand, Republicans may make the decision that instead of dramatically reforming ICE and other parts of the Department of Homeland Security with their out-of-control immigration enforcement efforts targeting American citizens, Republicans would rather shut down FEMA, shut down the Coast Guard, and shut down TSA. And if that happens, it's on them. Just like the American people concluded, despite what all the naysayers suggested would be the case, during the 43-day Trump Republican shutdown, the American people who are smart, they know Donald Trump's the president. Republicans control the House and the Senate. And if the entire government shuts down or parts of the government shuts down, Republicans are the ones responsible. Thanks.
Have you had a chance, when it comes to the Jayapal case and the idea of looking at the search histories of lawmakers, have you had a chance to talk to Johnson about this at all? And are there any sort of reprisals that you, as Democrats, could pursue, be it a legal avenue?
All of these toxic, corrupt, unhinged sycophants within the Trump administration, including but not limited to Pam Bondi, Kristi Noem, who's got to be fired. We believe that. And if it doesn't happen, it should have happened. She's getting impeached. Stephen Miller's got to go. He's the evil manipulator behind Donald Trump, whispering in Trump's ear, telling him what to do, unleashing this brutality and violence on the American people. They all have to go. The whole thing, the whole enterprise is corrupt. And all of them are going to be held accountable. Now, that accountability can either happen right now because a handful of Republicans decide to partner with us to defend our values, the Constitution, and the best interests of the American people, or the accountability certainly is going to come in the aftermath of the November midterm elections. In the House, without question, and increasingly, likely in the Senate as well.
You've laid down clear instructions for your members. Either show up to the Trump State of the Union and be silent, or don't go at all. Several of your members told me after you made that comment that they still want to go and register their opposition to him in some way. Are you going to have a conversation with those members?
What on-the-record source do you have? Tell me.
I'll tell you right now. Sri Thanadar told me he's going to go, and he would like to quote, love to show some resistance to what is going on. Teresa Ledger Fernandez said Democratic Women's Caucus members will, quote, make sure that our opinions with regard to Trump are understood and that her group will, quote, be doing a lot of stuff around the State of the Union. Several other members told me that they plan to walk out mid-speech.
You clearly just mischaracterized a lot of what has been said. Teresa Ledger Fernandez is an incredible leader within the caucus. She's done a great job with respect to the Democratic Women's Caucus. And, of course, she's going to forcefully lead an effort in and around the State of the Union to make clear the fact that the women of America are suffering as a result of Trump's toxic and corrupt policies. Haven't had a conversation with Sri Thanadar. You often quote him as a source as it relates to what may or may not happen on the House floor, and then it never materializes. And so take that for what it's worth.
He noticed an impeachment vote privilege when he said he was going to. That materialized.
Has the impeachment vote been called up?
No. Al Green called one up, though.
Okay. I don't even understand the relevance of your points that you're making right now. Like, honestly.
So are you confident
I'm
that
confused.
Al Green, Sri Thanadar, these guys
I'm confident that Democrats are going to continue to win the narrative, win legislatively, win elections, win the gerrymandering pushback, and then win back control of the House of Representatives. Set on this date. And you can reference it whenever you want to. Whenever you want to. Just like the so-called primary that I was going to have that apparently is non-existent.
Mr. Leader, last year that same issue came up with regard to protests on the floor, and you seem to be a little uncomfortable with the members protesting. Am I accurate? I mean, what would you like to see or not on the floor during State of the Union? Thank you.
I think my view is that, listen, the American people are with us. We have Republicans on the run. We are fighting and defeating them legislatively, as was the case most recently on the floor yesterday. Republicans have the majority. We're governing in the minority as if we're in the majority. We've defeated them multiple times on the floor of the House of Representatives. We've defeated them in terms of the Affordable Care Act tax credits. We've defeated them with respect to the Trump tariffs. We've defeated them with respect to the Epstein files. We've defeated them with respect to wiping out one of Donald Trump's first executive orders that stripped away collective bargaining rights from more than 1 million different federal employees. We have them on the run legislatively. We have them on the run as it relates to their toxic gerrymandering scheme, where they, according to some cynics, were going to take 10, 12, 15 seats away from House Democrats, and apparently we were expected just to roll over and play dead. And we were told that it was inevitable that that was going to happen. But the opposite has occurred. Republicans have been thwarted decisively as it relates to their efforts to gerrymander the national congressional map and rig the midterm elections. And as a matter of fact, the likely outcome right now is that when it's all said and done, House Republicans are going to lose seats as a result of what's happened in states across the country, not gain them. So we have them on the run legislatively. We have them on the run in terms of their toxic gerrymandering efforts. We have them on the run in terms of the position that Donald Trump is in right now politically. He's losing. He's deeply unpopular. He's failing the American people, and they know it. On the economy, unpopular. On health care, unpopular. His overall job approval rating, unpopular. On the generic ballot, who do the American people prefer, a Democratic House or a Republican House? Democrats consistently up in the generic ballot. On immigration enforcement, Donald Trump and Republican policy is deeply unpopular. We have them on the run. as it relates to legislation. We have them on the run as it relates to their toxic gerrymandering effort. We have them on the run as it relates to public sentiment. And of course, we have them on the run politically, as I've detailed. We have not lost an election during the entirety of the Trump administration in terms of races that were viewed as either competitive or marginally competitive. Because now we're in overperformance territory at like 31 points in Texas or 37 points in Louisiana. And so I think our perspective is just, we have them on the run, let's stay on offense and conduct ourselves accordingly with a recognition that the American people, those folks that Donald Trump will be speaking to from the House floor, the American people are with us and have turned against Donald Trump and the Republicans. Thanks. Yep.
Thank you. I know it's a flyout day, but there is obviously this legislation pending in the Senate for DHS. I'm just curious what guidance, if any, you've given to members about sticking around D.C. or like what kind of notice they'll get if they need to come back.
I'm here today. I'm here tomorrow. If necessary, I'll be here this weekend. And there will be a significant Democratic presence on Capitol Hill.
When it comes to the tariffs votes, what indications do you have that you'll have Republican support going forward, and how does the looming Supreme Court case influence the playbook here for you?
Donald Trump promised to lower the high cost of living on day one. Costs haven't gone down, they've gone up. And the American people know it. 70% of the American people believe that the economy correctly is a disaster. That's according to Fox News. Housing costs out of control, grocery costs out of control, cost of goods out of control, child care costs out of control, health care costs out of control, electricity bills out of control. America's too expensive. It's gotten worse because of Donald Trump's policies and Republican compliance. So we're going to continue to press the case, led by Greg Meeks and Richie Neal, to get rid of these Trump tariffs that are raising costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. We're in an extraordinary situation right now where Republican policies led by Donald Trump and House GOP members are actively hurting everyday Americans. And the American people know it. And there's only one group of people in this town, Democrats, who are working hard to lower the high cost of living, to fix our broken health care system, to deliver immigration enforcement that's fair, just, and humane, and to clean up the type of corruption that we're seeing coming out of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Thank you, everyone.